Hello everyone and welcome to the 22 Dropouts. It's Graham here, and in this video I'll be creating a list showcasing my opinion on the top 10 flashiest forwards in the world right now. I'm not defining how flashy a player is by his haircut or the cars he owns, but rather by the silk of his offloads, the agility of his sidesteps, the outrageousness of his dummies, and the deftness of his kicking. This list is purely of active players, so I won't include players like Pierre Spies, Zinzan Broek, or Sergio Parise. Right into it at number 10, we have a player who is more famous for his exploits as a junior player, being labelled the next Dane Coles at the Junior World Cup a few years ago. Asafoe Alimur is a player who should strike fear into the hearts of wingers and forwards for years to come. A hooker with the pace and strength of a small buffalo, capable of stealing the soul of any defender in front of him, Alimur needs to work on some of his basics, particularly his work in the lineouts. However, I'm sure that he will be a mainstay of the Hurricanes and the All Blacks before too long. Coming in at number 10, we have Marina Makaele-Tu'u. A bit of a dark horse on this list, Makaele-Tu'u is a big barnstorming number 8 who took Aotearoa by storm, playing for the meek and mild Highlanders. Leading all forwards in meters made, carries, clean breaks, and offloads, the 191cm, 115kg forward can mix it with the biggest, but still has a frightening pair of wheels on him, and the ability to make any back look silly with a silky step or a smart offload. Coming in at number 8, we have a familiar name in Kwagga Smith. Kwagga Smith is a Blitzboks legend, a World Cup winner, and it hurts to speak about as a Lions fan, but he's a 2-time Super Rugby finalist. A great fetcher flank with a low centre of gravity, a strong leg drive, a huge engine, and as I'm sure you've seen, pace to rival the best wingers in the world. His feet can also leave anyone's ankles as broken as his nose, but it's his pace which gets him into the top 10. At number 7, we have a big number 8. Another junior rugby hero who is coming into his own at the senior level for Bath, Zach Mercer is a fine player. Built like a brick shithouse and with the engine of a Massey Ferguson, his greatest asset is without a doubt his hands, which are silkier than your great aunt's bathrobe. He scored a try on his England debut, and I'm sure it won't be his last for the Red Roses. Number 6, Argeir Snyman. One of my favourite players, a rangy athletic lock, who makes this list for his world-class offloading ability. He got famous at the Bulls and for the Springboks at the 2019 World Cup, but he now plays for Munster in the Pro 14. His offloads will make the strongest atheist a believer, and he can still put in a hit that'll make you wish you'd given up rugby when your mom told you to in grade 8. Coming in at number 5, we have Pascal Yatch. Yatch may not be a household name in South Africa, but he is as game-breaking as any forward in World Rugby. The 27-year-old is the typical bruising Fijian Lucy, and while he may not have the step or acceleration of some in this list, his frightening combination of size and speed, as well as a great brain for the game, means he breaks the line astonishingly often. Couple that with a slick pair of hands, and you have a player so flashy they could ban him from wearing a trench coat on a night out. Coming in at number 4, we have Adi Tipuna. He was always going to make this list, and he needs no introduction. One of the best in the world in his position, Adi is a player you never want to come across in the tight spaces, and definitely never want running into space. He has unreal power, acceleration, and pace, as well as being a truly great fetcher. He's definitely the best rugby player in his family. Justin Tipuric. One of my favourite Northern Hemisphere players, Tipuric is a flanker who I think would look just as comfortable playing outside centre. A player with great hands, a turn of pace, some trickery, and even a bit of a kicking game, Tipuric is truly a modern forward. Capped 76 times for Wales and 180 odd times for the Ospreys at a club level, Tipuric's career may be entering its twilight phase. However, he will always be remembered as one of the most skillful forwards ever to play the game. At number 2, we have Dane Coles. A controversial pick for number 2, the Hurricanes and New Zealand number 2 could easily have been number 1. A player who revolutionized the hooker role more than the ancient Greeks. He spends most of his time out on the wing, and made every under-16 hooker in the world believe they were Cheslin Colby during touch rugby practice. Without Coles, there would be no Alimur, no Asafoe Alimur, or any other wide, dynamic hooker, with his influence on the modern position unable to be understated. Before we get down to number 1, I'd like to throw out a list of honourable mentions. Asafoe Alimur is a menace with ball in hand, but I think he's become less dynamic, and his game has regressed somewhat, especially at the lineouts, from the player we saw between 2016 and 2019. Hachiva Diamani is probably the fastest forward in World Rugby, but I don't think he is a good enough player just yet to justify a place on this list. Zane Davids is for now, in my mind, a 7th player. Kieran Reid and Yaku Creel also don't make this list, even though they are still great players, but they aren't playing at international level any longer. Sikumbuzo Noche is a player who I think is unlucky not to make this list, after a flying start to the 2020 season. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. Coming in at number 1, we have Leone Nakarawa. The second lock and second Fijian international on this list, in my opinion, is one of the best forwards in World Rugby. A man this size just shouldn't be this skillful, probably the best offload I've ever seen in the pack, and still made of absolute granite. Getting cleaned out by this man will probably leave you with a hangover worse than you'll ever have on New Year's Day. An Olympic Sevens gold medalist and European Player of the Year winner, as well as a former military man, Nakarawa takes top spot on my list of the flashiest forwards in World Rugby today. That's it for today, everyone. Thanks for listening to the Flyest Halves. If you liked this video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, smash the bell, and take a look at our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages.